Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all glory, honor, and praise unto YAHAWASHI, BaHaShem Rakahah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of the great millstone. And salutations to you, Akim, out there laboring on the four winds, preaching and teaching this gospel in sincerity and truth, waking up the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And salutations to the remainder of the remnant, the men, women, and children among Israel, Yasharallah, who have been given this gift of faith and who are cleaving to the testimony of the prophets. And I just want to get into this article I thought was interesting through the Spirit, published on Express US yesterday. Today is Saturday, December the 6th, 2025, the hopeful year of our deliverance and of Esau's destruction and judgment. And you see the headline right here, right? 3-Eye Atlas spaceship. They got spaceship in quotes, right? Triggers wave of global planetary defense drills. Because see, the governments of this earth are hip to the fact that YAHAWASHI and the holy angels are coming back. You know, the ones who are not hip to that fact, you know, are 2/3 of our people here in America, aka the virgin daughter of Babylon. 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, who are the Lord's chosen people. All right, the biblical Israelites. 2/3 of you are out of your minds and drunk over here. All right, believing in everything other than the truth. Right. And the Most High has pronounced the judgment against 2/3 of our people right along with Esau and the heathen nations, because Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, the heathen nations, and 2/3 of our people are going to perish in America during the time of Jacob's trouble, which we have been in for quite some time now. All right, Jacob's trouble is not coming, you know, it's not on the brink, you know, it's here. You know, we in the very, you know, we in the infancy stages. We're in the beginning of sorrows, right? But we in it, man. All right. And again, you know, 2/3 of our people are hopelessly lost, man. You know, without a damn clue. All right, clueless. Okay, our 2/3 of our people are out here destroyed, man. They destroy for a lack of knowledge. I'm gonna get that scripture. And this is the book of Hosea, chapter 4 and verse 6. My people were destroyed for lack of knowledge. Again, the wicked elites of Esau, the Dukes of Edom, okay, the international banking families, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Gettys, the Warburgs, all those guys, you know, they know, you know, that YAHAWASHI, and they even know his name. All right, YAHAWASHI, not Jesus Christ. They know he's coming back, man. And they know he's coming back in a so-called spaceship, which is the chariots of the Lord. All right. They have access to the records. They have that knowledge. All right. 2/3 of our people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, right? The knowledge they're lacking, you know, is knowledge of the scriptures, knowledge of the prophecies, right? Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. Thou shalt be no priest to me. Because, you know, again, the 2/3 have rejected this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You got the prophets out on the four corners, prophesying in the chief places and concourse, on the highways and byways, all throughout Babylon the Great, all throughout, you know, to the ends of the earth, even. All right, so to speak. All right, and so the knowledge is out here. All right, but again, our people have rejected that. Okay, they have chosen the ways of the heathen. Okay, they've chosen, you know, Christianity, or they've chosen Islam, or they've chosen Egyptology, or whatever false ideology you want to bring up. You know, our people are into all kinds of weird shit. Okay, so it says, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power, Yahweh, I will also forget thy children. So since, 2/3 don't want to have anything to do with these laws, statutes, commandments, the Lord is not only going to forget them, but he's going to forget their children. All right, so during the time of Jacob's trouble, again, right now, during this time we in, during these perilous times, your children are going to be forsaken out here. It's serious stuff, man. But our people like to fuck around. Well, they gonna fuck around and they gonna find out, man. Keep playing with the Most High and see what happens. Think this is a joke? You think this is, cute? You think this is funny and for entertainment? Well, it's deadly serious shit, man. All right. Why do you think the governments of the earth? What do you think they're planning on defending themselves from? They're planning on defending themselves from an angelic invasion, man. All right, but see, YAHAWASHI is gonna win that war in heaven, right? YAHAWASHI is gonna win that war in heaven. It's not even gonna be close. All right, but yeah, we're just gonna read a little bit of this because honestly, I read through this and it's a boring read, but it was the headline. Planetary defense drills are underway, man. All right. They know the ships are out there. They know, again, they know. All right. It's 2/3 of our people. And you got a lot of retarded Edomites out here too, man. You got a lot of retarded so-called white people out here. Edomites, Esau. All right. These so-called white people descend from Esau. All right. And then the heathen nations that are over in America, they completely retarded as well. All right. They don't know what the hell is going on. All right. They just know they're over here making money off the backs of you Israelites. All right. But that time's coming to an end, man. We at the end, man. The scripture says in 1 Peter, so let's get that. It says the end of all things is at hand. Let me get it. The book of 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 7, and it reads, but the end of all things is at hand, right? Be ye therefore sober and watch under prayer. So we're supposed to be sober. All right, spiritually speaking, we're supposed to be sober, as in being the right doctrine. All right, which Great Millstone has 100% truth. Okay, none of these other camps have 100% truth, and you're seeing that, man. All right. You're seeing all these wicked false prophets come out the woodwork, especially, when it comes to, this idea that the heathen nations can receive salvation. All right, you've been hearing that a lot lately, from them Genesis Israelites, for example, Hassad and Nakah. All right, so we're supposed to be sober, but we're also supposed to be physically sober as well. You can't live a life that's pleasing to YAHAWASHI if you're drunk, a lot of the time. Ask me how I know that. All right, so it's twofold sobriety, right? It says be therefore sober and watch under prayer, and that's what we're supposed to be doing, watching. Watch when we see things like this. When we see headlines like this, we're supposed to be looking out for these kinds of headlines, right? Because we can take these headlines, all right, or headlines like this one, right, and filter them through the prophecies, all right, so that we can warn our people, all right, to flee the wrath that's coming, because the Lord's coming back to this earth to make war, man. It tells you that in Revelation, the 19th chapter. He's coming back to judge and make war. Okay, he's gonna do a whole lot of deleting when he returns, and you want to be on his right side, So yeah, man, watch unto prayer, right? So again, we're not gonna spend too long on this, too much time on this, rather. I'll get a couple precepts and I'll wrap it up. But yeah, again, it's the headline, man. All right, a series of extensive planetary defense exercises has been conducted worldwide in recent weeks, sparking theories that governments are bracing for the unpredictable conduct of the interstellar object designated 3i Atlas. All this is bullshit, man. All right, look, there's no such thing as aliens. All right, the aliens that Esau, Edom, and these heathen are talking about. All right, these are the angels. These are the angels of the Lord. And again, they're in ships. They're in spaceships, whatever you want to call them. Well, the Bible calls them the chariots of Israel. They're in the chariots of Israel, man. All right? And they're wreaking havoc out there in the heavens. Okay? And we've been warning you. You know, we've been warning you that this day, you know, would come. And, you know, we're going to see it, man. All right, Lord willing, we endure unto the end. And we're around, you know, and we make it. All right, we're going to see this, man. The Lord is going to come back. Okay, he's going to come back soon. All right, oh, you've been saying that for thousands of years, man. No, they don't know. That's the stupidity and short-sightedness of our people, man. You know. Anyway, you know, you scoffers and you mockers are going to be, you know, are going to be destroyed, man. All right. And the Lord is going to preserve a lot of you to catch them missiles. All right. It says, while each drill has been portrayed as standard procedure, their coordination and magnitude have sparked concerns among space experts and defense personnel. All right. The European Space Agency kicked off the series by activating its complete planetary defense system, encompassing mission control, rapid response modeling, and ground-based observation networks. This extraordinary 3-day simulation was succeeded by Japan's fast-tracked asteroid impact exercise involving civilian, military, and commercial satellite operators. The so-called Japanese, those are the descendants of Ammon. Okay, those are the Ammonites. And our people are mingled among Ammon. Okay, just throwing that in there. Okay. You got a lot of our people over in Asia, right? China, especially in China, the Moabites. You know, a lot of our people are hidden among Moab, right? Our people are scattered into the four corners of the earth, you know, and are going to look like all the nations of the earth. That's another stumbling block. You know, that's another truth that's hard to swallow for a lot of our people, okay? And a lot of these so-called men of the Lord out here teaching the Bible, you know. It says, that's another lesson for another time. It says, within 48 hours, the U.S. Space Force wrapped up a high-altitude orbital tracking rehearsal that had initially been slated for late 2026, but was suddenly accelerated. Yeah, man, because, again, these elites know, man. They know they know that the end is near. They do, man. They in their bunkers, you know. But they ain't gonna escape the wrath of the Lord. Let me get Revelation chapter 1. They gonna try to run, of course. They ain't gonna hide themselves, but they gonna be caught. Revelation chapter 1 and verse 7 reads, "Behold," milk scripture, "he cometh with clouds." The he here is YAHAWASHI, right? YAHAWASHI, not Jesus Christ. Okay, sick and tired of that. You're sick and tired of hearing that. You know, it's not even a name, Jesus. Jesus Christ. Christ is just a Greek word which means anointed. We're talking about YAHAWASHI here, the King of Kings, right? The Lord of Lords. He's who's coming back in the clouds. The ships, okay? Again, that's why the governments of this earth are doing these planetary, all right, defense exercises, right? Because this is going to be a global attack on the Lord. All right. Got war in heaven? Yeah, man. Revelation, the 12th chapter? Yeah. Okay. It says, "Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him," proving reincarnation is scriptural and biblical. Okay. The ones who actually drove the nails into Yahawashi's wrists and feet, they're going to be on the scene for his return. Okay. Yeah. And they're going to be weeping and gnashing their teeth. All right. It says, "And all kindreds," right? "And all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, Aman. Yeah, even so, let it be. The kindreds of the earth are going to wail, all right, because they've been following, all right, a false Messiah. Most of them, because you got, all the nations of the earth clinging to that stupid ass JC idol, right, worshiping the so-called white Jesus. Okay, so they're going to be weeping and wailing when they see he's a so-called black man, a so-called Negro, right, with white woolly hair and a big, white beard. Okay, yeah, they're going to realize that they fucked in the worst way. All right, and these ships, these heavenly vehicles, they're going to be defending the elect, man. Let's get that. They're going to be defending the elect, Lord willing. That's us, man. Beginning with the apostles, bishops, and elders of the great millstone and all the Achaeum, again, doing this work across the four corners of sincerity and truth. Lord willing, we're hidden under the shadow of the Almighty during this time, right? Lord willing, we're those men, man, come back. This is the book, Salakia. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 31, and verse 5. As birds flying, so will the Lord Yahweh of hosts defend Jerusalem. Right? So here the prophet's describing the chariots, the ships, as birds, right? As birds flying, right? So will the Lord Yahweh of hosts defend Jerusalem. Jerusalem is a people before a place. So these ships, these birds, these chariots, they're going to be protecting the elect lambs of YAHAWASHI, Jerusalem. Again, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. And the scattered Israelite foreigners, the speckled bird brothers and sisters. All right, it says, defending also he will deliver it, right? And passing over, he will preserve it. So how is deliverance going to be accomplished, right? The elect are going to be beamed up into the ships, man. Delivered literally through the fire, man. The scriptures talks about the elect scarcely being saved, right? Literally coming up, right, as those missiles, as those arrows are falling down on this place, right? And it talks about the righteous scarcely being saved. Hold on. Got to get back to 1 Peter 4. I was just in 1 Peter 4, but that's, that's what we're going back to. 1 Peter's. This is the book of 1 Peter again, chapter 4 and verse 18. And it reads, and if the righteous scarcely be saved, right, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? Yeah, man. The righteous are going to scarcely be saved, literally through the fire. All right. And the sinner and the ungodly are going to appear in that lake of fire. And again, a lot of you false prophets, a lot of you wicked so-called elders out here among Israel, teaching your congregation bullshit and blaspheming, right, and mocking, and scoffing. Again, you're gonna find yourself preserved only to catch a nuke, man. And you're going to appear in a lake of fire. And the scriptures talks about, your torment and suffering in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, YAHAWASHI himself. Right? So the righteous are going to scarcely be saved. Right? The righteous in this time is the elect of Israel. The 144,000, that's where it starts. The 144,000, the first fruits of salvation. Then you got that remainder, right? The remainder of the remnant. The men, women, and children among Israel who believe, right? Who are listening and learning, all right, and putting their best foot forward here in Babylon the Great. All right? So, yeah, man. And literally in Zechariah 13, let's go ahead and get that too. It talks about being brought through the fire. All right? There's going to be all kinds of trials and temptations, right? During Jacob's trouble, right? Trials and temptation, the hour of temptation, but literally being brought through the fire. literally, because again, this deliverance is going to occur when the missiles are on their way down. Okay, so let's get Zechariah 13. Zechariah chapter 13, and I'm going to start in verse 8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, talking about here in America, all right, it's the land being spoken of, saith the Lord, Yahweh, right, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die. That's the 2/3. But the third shall be left therein, right? And I will bring the third part through the fire, verse 9, right? You know, the scriptures also talks about the brightness of YAHAWASHI is coming in Second Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, right? Because he's coming back as the missiles are flying, right? During the midst of World War III, in the midst of World War III, rather, right? And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call my name, and I will hear them. I will say it is my people, and they shall say the Lord Yahweh is my power. That's right. That's being said right now, man. You know, we out here praising the name of the Lord right now in our liberty. Okay? The scriptures talks about the elect praising his holy name. In Sirach, I believe the 17th chapter and the 10th verse. You can go look that up. Fact check me. But yeah, man, the Lord is coming back. And these, again, the heathen nations know it. Esau, Edom, again, beginning with them Amalekites, them Ishas, they know. They have access to the records. They know. That's why they've invested trillions upon trillions of dollars in these bunkers and in these underground cities, right? And in these mountaintop chalets. You know, they're even going to try to get out into the heavens, you know, in them ships. And they're even going to be out in the sea, out in the depths of the sea. But, you know, they're going to be caught. They're going to be gotten. You know, they're going to be taken. You know, and they going into slavery upon the Lord's return. All right, they're going to be put to work. All right, the elites are going to be saved. All right, preserved to this destruction, only to become men of continual employment, slaves. That's Ezekiel the 39th chapter. Go and read it. All right, let's get another precept. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, and I'm going to start at the top, okay? It says in 2nd Ezra chapter 13 and verse 1, and it came to pass after 7 days I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea that had moved all the waves thereof, right? It says, and I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, right? Talking about YAHAWASHI, okay? It says, and when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. This lines up with what we read in Revelation chapter 1 and verse 7 about the kindreds of the earth wailing because of him, right? They're going to be trembling, wailing, again, weeping and gnashing their teeth, okay? It says in verse 4, and whensoever his voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it filleth the fire. This earth is going to feel that fire, man. All right, the scriptures talks about, well, YAHAWASHI in Luke the 12th chapter, right? He says he's coming with fire, right? He's bringing the fire, man. All right, this earth is already going to be on fire when he returns. You know, how much more so when he comes back, right? As America's burning, you know, them chariots are going to be blowing this place up, you know, firing them lasers. Yeah, man. It says, and after this I beheld, verse 5, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea, right? The nations of the earth are going to turn their sights on YAHAWASHI and the angels, right? But I beheld, and lo, he had graven himself a great mountain, right? He's coming back on a huge chariot, man. Described here as a great mountain, right? And flew up upon it, Slakia. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. It took up the whole sky, man. That's what's going on here. Okay, that's how big this ship, that's how big YAHAWASHI's ship is. Okay. is stretched from one end of heaven to the other, right? It says, I'm going to keep going in verse 8. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. Okay? It says, verse 11, Slaggy, I lost my place. Verse 11, right? 2 Esdras 13 and verse 11. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, right? And burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid, right? It's going to be total annihilation. That war in heaven, right? It's going to be nothing but the Lord and angels destroying the heathen armies of this earth, all right? Turning them into dust, okay? Totally obliterating them, all right? That's how the war in heaven is going to go down. And again, it's not even going to be close. And they're going to be so afraid. We just read. See, the Lord's going to have to put a spirit on them to even want to fight, you know. So that's what these heathen nations are trying to prepare for, right? That's what's going on with all this, with all these so-called planetary defense drills. They know the King of Kings and Lord of Lords is coming. Revelation 19. You can go and read that on your own time. I didn't want to spend too much time on this, but it's all through the Spirit of the Lord, you know. So I'm gonna cut it off there. Yeah, the Lord's coming back, man. All right, He's coming back. He's coming back. He's got two full ministry. All right, one to destroy and one to deliver. So, Lord willing, you was edified through the Spirit. With that, I want to say shalom. It's on to the next video.